What's up, y'all? It's Carla, aka Sela the Poet. I know it's been, I guess, maybe about a week since I made, or maybe a couple of days since I made my last clip. Um, so, hold on one second, y'all. Sorry about that. It's pretty noisy in my apartment. I just had to turn something off for a minute. So, tonight I'm in my thoughts, kind of in my feelings. I am a domestic violence survivor, and in about 2 weeks it's going to be the anniversary of when I actually went into a domestic violence shelter almost 8 to 9 years ago. It's deep how I remember these anniversaries. You know, I remember the time that these things happened because, you know, the reality, that you are being abused and that you've been being mistreated, and, the fact that people are threatening your life, the fact that people are falsely accusing you, the fact that, you're being mistreated, and that basically you feel like you're at war. It was a very, 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 it's really hard to even describe the words of what it was like. It was violent. It was traumatic. It was crazy. It was a very difficult time for me and for my two children because they were with me when all of this was going on. I made the choice to leave my abusive relatives behind a couple of years ago on February the 13th. I got into a dispute with one of my relatives and it got physical. Police were called. This relative lied and said that I attacked her, which I didn't. She attacked me, and I ended up having to defend myself. As a result of that, I moved out of her home and started living in hiding. Around the same time this was happening, I began having problems with my ex-husband. Our marriage, it wasn't really a good marriage anyway. We had problems from the jump, but there was also abusive behavior in the marriage. I didn't come to a recognition of it until later on. So around the time that I had gotten abused by this relative, I also was going through threats and abusive behavior with my ex-husband, whom I'm now divorced from. And basically, my two abusers joined forces and tried to discredit me in court. They went to court, they wrote court documentation, lying on me, saying that I was a schizophrenic, saying that I was crazy, saying that I was mistreating my kids, which I wasn't. I went through a lot, When you're dealing with an abusive person or abusive people, sometimes abusers will lie, they'll manipulate, they will falsely accuse, anything to take the attention off of them and off of their behavior, they will do. They will deny that they did anything to you, but you know what's up. If they assaulted you, or they punched you, or they hit you, or they pushed you into a wall, or they threatened to kill you, or something like that, all of those things are abusive behavior. If they called you names, if they don't have a decent thing to say about you and call you nothing but insults and crush your self-esteem on purpose, all of these things are abusive behavior. If they blame you for all the problems that are in their life, if they never take accountability or responsibility for their actions, then they're acting abusive. And this is something that I learned through my experience. As a result of the abuse that I went through at the hands of my family members and my ex-husband, it had an effect on my self-esteem. It had an effect on my mental health. I have been going to therapy for a couple of years. As a result of what I went through, I deal with CPTSD symptoms. CPTSD is complex PTSD. It's not the same as PTSD. It's a little different. I'm not sure if it's marked as a mental illness, but there are symptoms when it comes to it. And it's basically a person, will have flashbacks, nightmares, insomnia. Sometimes you'll have trouble connecting or having relationships with people because of mistrust, because of the violations that you suffered before, attachment issues, abandonment issues. A lot of things can go into CPTSD. I'm not ashamed to share my story. There may be somebody, that deals with it, that's going through it. I know some people have to be on medication because of it. Luckily, my symptoms are under control. I go to therapy, and therapy is very, very helpful. I have a support group of, a couple of good friends, and my faith in Jesus Christ that helps me through when I go through things as a result of the symptoms. It's not easy, dealing with the symptoms. Sometimes flashbacks, memories, when you feel like you get triggered off by maybe a song. You may see a person that looks like your abuser. You may hear a slamming of a door. You may see a scene in a movie, and it just brings you back to a time when you may have been being abused or suffering an abusive incident with your abuser. And, for some people, it's really, really scary. For others, you just find ways to get through it. So it's not easy, but by the grace of God, I've made it this far through faith. I'm just trying the best I can daily, to heal, to go on this journey of self-discovery. And even though the abuse happened a couple, years ago, I'm still healing from its effects. When you go through years of abuse, I went through abuse from my childhood, from, into my teenage years, and then into adulthood. So I had abuse at different times in my life, and it compounded, and it basically, affected me. I kind of blocked it out. I kind of repressed it, and it began to affect my mental health and my health later on down the line. It's never a good idea to deny how you feel. It's never a good idea to tell yourself, that you're not feeling the way that you really are. But I am a survivor. And, by God's grace, through faith, and through, this healing path that I'm taking, I'm hoping to make it through this. So for anybody who goes through PTSD or CPTSD, just know that you can make it through. You can make it through this. You just have to come up with a plan to help treat it, and you can make it through this. You are able to overcome it. I have faith in you. I have faith that as you, take the reins and you make healthy and wise choices, that you're able to overcome it. So I just wanted to talk about that tonight because I've just been thinking lately about all the traumas that God has brought me through. One day I'll talk to you about, some of the abusive episodes. It's not easy to talk about because sometimes it triggers me. But I just wanted to, check in with you guys. I'm hoping that you guys are keeping the faith and staying strong. I'm going to read you one of my poems. It's Gothic poetry. It's really short. It doesn't have a title. And it kind of describes my emotional state. I walk through the lonely days of solitude with broken, tattered wings, through the catacombs of the silent moments of life, with a bleeding heart and a scarred, bruised soul, trapped in a violent sea of emotions. I've survived the worst tempest ever known to man or woman, the abuse and violation of my humanity and spirit. I wrap myself in black and find comfort in the shadows. Mourning and suffering are my constant visitors, and I at times long for the glimpses of happiness. The moments of grief expose the emptiness and the hurt within me, and the coldness and scar tissue from inner wounds make me feel like sometimes that I'm drowning. Like a black rose, beautiful, crushed, but not destroyed, blooming among the thorns and scorching winds of a burning rage. So, when I think about the past, and I think about the things that were done to me, and I think about the apologies that I never got from a lot of my abusers, and the fact that my abusers were my relatives, my own mother, my own sisters. I was mistreated by them. I was lied on by them, falsely accused by them, betrayed by them. My bad. And, I went through so much. Betrayed by my ex-husband, cheated on, he did violence against me. And it's hard to talk about, but, you can't change what you can't confront. And this is my past, this is my history. I'm being honest with myself about it so I can heal from it and move forward. I think being goth kind of helps with that because, we as goths, we're very, very aware of our, I would say our emotions and our inner worlds. And, I just find, a common ground with members of the goth community, when it comes to suffering and when it comes to just, some of the things that you go through. But that's all I have to say for now. I'll check in with you guys maybe in a couple of days or maybe next week. All right? So you guys take care. This is Sela the Poet signing off. Peace.